Hello, this is Allie with the Perception Trainers, author of The Perception Diet, and today I want to talk about when to use the act as though it is versus when to use the facing your emotions. Okay, so I know that I have taught both of these techniques on my channel, right? Sometimes when we just want to make a change in our lives, we just have to be I know I've talked about this a lot actually, right? Like visualizing this person that you want to be, visualizing your goal, visualizing the end state, feeling what it would feel like to be there, and then acting like that person in your life. We've talked about that a lot, about how that is quite a powerful practice for moving yourself in a direction that you want to head in your life. However, I've also talked at length, I've droned on and on and on about facing the actual feeling that you're feeling right now. Not ignoring who you are, not suppressing your negative thoughts and your negative emotions and your self-limiting beliefs and all of these things with just blanketing it over with positive thought or positive talk or positive intention or acting like you're fine when you're not, because of how destructive that can be. And so I've been getting a lot of questions of how do I determine when I use which one? And how do I know which one is the actual self-love path and when it's just me being ignorant to how I'm really feeling and all of these things? And I thought, wow, that is an awesome question, and it definitely deserves an answer that I make in a video, not just a quick type out. So that's why I'm making this video. How do we determine when we use the act as though it is, right? I'm just gonna visualize that person that I want to be and start being that person, versus I'm really feeling like shit about something right now and I need to face it and I need to look at it and I need to figure out why. So here's what I have to say about this. In my own journey, these two techniques have been really a synergistic modality. The two things working together are so much more powerful than either of them on their own. All right? So if we're only doing act as though it is, we are going to go into spiritual bypassing. That's the first thing that we have to understand. If that's the one technique you have and you're just using act as though it is, you're going to face how you actually feel right now. You're going to face the actual person you are being right now. You're going to face all of these things about yourself that are not that. And all you're going to know how to do is ignore it and keep pushing through to be this person that you think you should be. That's going to go into spiritual bypassing, and that's not going to be using the tool from a place of self-love. So this is like a huge, huge key that I really, really, really want to make clear in this video, and I hope that I make this clear in this video, that this tool of act as though it is has to be rooted in the deepest, most concrete self-love place that you've got. Meaning, if we're using the act as though it is tool as another self-improvement mechanism, as in I'm acting as though it is, I'm acting like I'm this person, I'm acting like I'm on track, I'm acting like this person I think I should be, okay, so that's a big key there, so that I can love myself, so that I will be worthy, so that I will be able to feel good in my life, so that I will be able to create the life that I want. That is not using the tool the way that I'm teaching it. Okay, I know a lot of people teach it that way, and whatever, that's their prerogative if that's what you want to do. However, in my experience, when we use the tool like that, it's literally just another self-sabotaging mechanism. It's literally just another tool we use to try and act like it is, try and act like this person we think that we should be to give ourselves love, and then whenever we can't act like that person, whenever we can't act as though it is, we just hate ourselves. That's usually how that works. It's I'm trying to act like this person that I should be with that, and you're gonna notice why should I be this person? Where did this come from? If you haven't done the work that I'm going to talk about in a second, it's just going to be a thing of you again having all this projection on yourself from outside and inside of what you should be to be lovable, and you're going to pretend like you're that person so that you can give yourself a little bit of permission to love yourself sometimes, but then when you can't be that, you're going to crash. Okay? So that's what that tool does in and of itself. without the foundations of self-love and without the foundations of dealing with your actual emotions, just acting as though it is just another self-improvement thing that you're doing to give yourself a reason to beat yourself up at some point, right? You're trying to become the person you think you have to become in order to be lovable, and then anytime you fall off that, you can't act like that, it's just going to be a crash. It's not really personal development, okay? So that's that. Just facing the negative emotions. If we only have that tool and we're only facing our shit and we're only we can get a little bit too far in that realm where all we're doing is facing our negative emotions, right? Where we have the revelation of this is why I'm feeling this way, and it's been since my childhood, and I see it clearly now for the first time in my life, and all of these things. But then if we don't have something of what we do with it next, right? That's the act as though it is. We will just get caught up in like, oh, well, that's why I'm so sad all the time. That's why I'm so depressed. That's why I hate myself. That's why I can never do what I want. That's why I feel so bad. And then it just becomes this loop of us facing it and realizing it and then doing nothing different, okay? So where these two tools are synergistic is this. We face the negative emotions first. So if you're wondering when do I apply, okay, default is going to be to go face the emotion. The default is not going to be act like this person I think I should be. Like if you're really feeling shitty about yourself, the default is always go into that. Okay? That's the default. The default is always face the emotion. Face the feeling. It's coming up for a reason. It's showing you something you need to see. Because again, we have to understand, if we fully say we can understand why the negative emotions are there, why negative thoughts are there, it's because they're a warning sign that we are believing something about ourselves or something about the reality that isn't true. And we are acting on that. Okay? We are creating chaos in our own lives. We are creating trauma and drama in our own lives based on our own false perceptions about ourselves and about the reality. But again, if we had no emotions, we would not have any idea, right? It would be much, much harder to understand that our perception of the reality is wrong, because your perception, so many of us, we've never stepped out of our own perception. We've never questioned our own perception. Because our perception is all we've ever known. Yeah? So if we don't have these emotions to say, Kate, that thing you're perceiving, I know that's all you know. I know that's all you think you know right now. However, this emotion is letting you know it's out of alignment. It's not true. It's not reality. You're thinking something is happening in reality that isn't. You're thinking something about yourself that isn't actually true. It feels really true to you because of perception, but it's not true. Yeah? You have all these reasons and all this evidence, and you've blocked out a whole bunch of stuff and magnified a whole bunch of other things to solidify in your mind that your perception is true. But if you're feeling shit about it, then there's something that you don't know. And that's why we have those emotions. They're there as a safety mechanism because our perception is so powerful, and because none of us are trained that our perception can be wrong. Bottom line, that our perception can be wrong. We need the emotional guidance system to say, okay, yeah, I know it feels really real to you right now, but it's not. Because if it were, it would feel good. That's the whole point of the emotions. So if we're having a negative emotion, first and foremost, always go into it. That's the default. Why do I feel how I feel? What's the story I'm telling myself and about the reality? What's all the evidence that I've collected for this shitty story? Where do I need more information? Where could I be seeing something that's out of alignment with the truth? I've always believed this shitty thing about myself. Well, when I think that about me, it feels bad. So that tells me it's not true. Yeah, we do this work, and that's discipline. Because again, so many of us are so used to, if it feels like shit when I think about it, it's definitely true, right? When I think I'm fat and that feels terrible, it's true. It's because I'm fat. And look, I have evidence that I'm fat, and no one's ever going to, but we don't even think even past that. So I got to lose weight. I'll feel better when I lose weight. I've literally never met a single person on this planet who it really was, you just needed to lose 5 pounds. Never. 0%. There's always something behind it. There's always a negative thought pattern, a negative emotion. Why? Why is it not okay for me to be at this body weight? Well, because then people aren't going to accept me. Okay, why is that not okay? Right? There's always these layers. So what I'm saying is if we're doing this emotional mastery work properly, if we're doing this facing the emotion properly, we're going to be getting past what we think it's about. Okay? You got to get past the layer. It's not about your body. It's not about your relationships. It's not about your money. It's not about your job. It's not about your boss. It's not about your mom. It's okay, these things are a part of it, and you're going to realize, okay, that's tied into it, and here's my behavior around my body. So here are my thought patterns around my body. Here are what I'm making it mean about me. Here's what I'm making it mean about reality. Here's what I'm making it mean about my worthiness. And we get down and down and down and down till you find these root beliefs you have that feel terrible, right? I'm unworthy of love unless I am being this person. It's not okay for me to take a break. I am unworthy of, it's always going to boil down to that, right? Like basically it's always going to boil down to, if I'm doing this, if I'm being this, if I'm expressing this, if I'm experiencing this, if this is the reality, I don't deserve love. That's what you're always going to boil it down to, okay? And so when we get there, that's where we have to say, okay, now we use the act as though it is, okay? So where the act as though it is tool actually comes into play in a healthy way is where we're saying, I'm committing to treating myself as though I'm someone who's deserving of love within the thing that I'm in right now that I have made up makes me undeserving of love. That's where that tool is appropriate. Okay? So for instance, when I was first developing my own kind of relationship with this dynamic, this synergistic healing modality, it was like way back with the eating disorder stuff. So I thought I had to hate myself because of how I looked. I hated my body. It was just clear that my body was fat, and like obviously no one likes me, and I have all this evidence for why. And even when I was anorexic, the only time I was everything was anorexic, and everyone hated me then too. So like everyone's just gonna hate me all the time. There's just nothing I can do. And that was my messed up psychology, right? Those were all my painful beliefs. So I started diving into why. Like why can't I love myself at this weight? Why is it not okay for me to be like this? Why do I have to be different? Why am I not allowed to take a break? Why am I not allowed to ask for what I need? Why is it not okay for me to take up space in the world? Why? Yeah? We get into all of these whys. And we get down to the root of it. It's like, okay, yeah, I just have made up all this stuff that if I'm at this weight, I can't love myself. If I'm asking for attention, I'm spoiled and selfish, and I need to get rid of all that, and all of these things that are wrong with me. Now, the act as though it is part came in with the like understanding that in my psychology at the time, this is what I thought would make me worthy of love. So like imagining my ideal body, right? That was just a mechanism I was using to get myself to a place where I would give myself permission to feel my own love. Okay, so this is the huge determining factor of whether you're using this tool for self-love or whether you're using this tool as self-sabotage. I was not acting like I had my perfect body. So I wasn't imagining my perfect body and acting like I already had my perfect body to try and get my perfect body. Okay, this is the huge difference between where it goes south and where it goes north. I was using it as a way of accessing that feeling of self-love and how I would behave in my life if I genuinely liked myself already. And that's what the act as though it is tool was doing for me. I was saying, right now, the only way I know to give myself permission to love myself is if I have my ideal body. So I imagined having my ideal body. I felt what that felt like. You see what I'm saying here? That was my way of giving myself permission to love me. But the truth was, right, my body wasn't changing. When I was imagining my ideal body, I was in the exact body that I was still in. Before meditation and after, it didn't change. It wasn't like magically different in meditation, and that's why I could love myself. You see what I'm saying? It was just my way of saying that was the line I had drawn. I'm not allowed to love myself until I'm in my ideal body. So imagining my ideal body was my way of saying, once I do that, that's how it would feel. Oh, okay, that's what it feels like to love myself right now in this moment. And then I started to behave in alignment with that. So if I already had my ideal body, I wouldn't be looking in the mirror, pinching all my rolls and telling myself how shitty I looked. I would be looking in the mirror and saying, you're beautiful and you're lovely and I love you and you're perfect. And so that's what I started doing. So you see what I'm saying? This tool is not a tool to manifest this person you want to become so that you will be lovable. It's you're saying, okay, these are the parameters I've set. So I'm acting or imagining being in this place to give myself that internal permission to love myself where I'm at right now and to talk to myself. So again, you imagine you've faced all the things, right? I know that I don't like my body and I don't like who I am and I don't. So if I were okay with all of these things, or, right, because that's pretty hard in the beginning. That's why the act as though it is tool works, is that I wasn't able to say, well, if I was okay with the body that I have right now, how would I act? Well, I didn't know how to do that. So I said, okay, if I had my ideal body, how would I act? That's how someone who loved themselves would act, because that was my version of where I'm allowed to feel like I love myself. So I take that and then apply it to my current situation, not as a way of trying to manifest that, but as a way of saying, okay, I'm accessing the feeling of what it feels like to love myself and bringing it here. I'm accessing the thought patterns of someone who loves themselves and bringing them here, not as a way of getting that, but as a way of loving myself now, because this is the only way I know how to love myself now. Does this make sense? I hope this is translating, okay? The act as though it is only appropriate when it's rooted in I'm changing the way that I'm speaking to myself, and I'm changing the way that I react and respond to myself. I'm changing the way that I carry myself in this world based on my understanding that I am worthy of love now. That the problem that I'm having is that I'm treating myself like shit right now. I'm not giving myself what I need. I'm not standing up for myself. I've made all these rules for where I'm allowed to be loved and where I'm not allowed to be loved. And so I don't know how to love myself where I am right now. So I imagine that I am where I think I should be, but then I apply how I would treat myself and how I would think about myself there to now. So I'm learning how to love myself in this, right? My body didn't change, but I'm talking to it like it had. My body didn't change, but I'm reacting to it like it had. Not as a way of manifesting it, but as a way of saying that's how I would act with myself if I were already there. You see what I'm saying here? And so then what it turned into is eventually I got to a place where 9 months later, nothing had changed about my body. Nothing had changed. But I felt different about it. Totally, completely felt different about it. It was easy for me to love it how it actually was because I had practiced that feeling. I didn't need to imagine ideal body anymore. I could love actual body. Okay, and then that fundamentally shifted how I treated my body. That fundamentally shifted how I acted in my life. And then that actually, like I say, went on this cannonball of healing my body because I was actually starting to come from a place of self-love. But it wasn't to get there. Okay, so the act as though it is giving yourself permission to love yourself right now. That's all that is. If I were already there, how would I think about myself? Well, I wouldn't be thinking these shitty thoughts. I would think these better ones. And then if I struggle, right, go back in. Why? What's the story? What's the story I'm telling myself? Now, what's the new thought? What's the new behavior that matches who I truly am as someone who loves themselves? Not needing this external thing, but using this external thing as my way of accessing a feeling so that I can then apply it to my right now, but not to try to get there, okay? Because you probably don't even know why you want to get there, and you're going to figure that out, okay? So default to the feeling, and then how would you behave if you already had it as a way of accessing it now? Okay? Questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.